Okay, today's topic is about aliens. As if we weren't wacky enough. We're going to talk about how to communicate with aliens and how to communicate with extraterrestrial beings. I've got my Marina Feeney alien earrings right here. Maybe I should have worn them today. Maybe I'll put them on right now. Let's do that, since they're sitting right here and that's our topic. So, the thing is that our beliefs are shaped by our surroundings and by media and by all of our narratives that we have been told. So the idea about aliens, I guess let's share some beliefs we have about aliens. I know that a lot of you guys are spiritually awake, and your ideas about aliens are different than mass media. So let's name some mass media perceptions of aliens, and then some deeper truths that you guys think are true about aliens. I want to hear some of your guys' thoughts and opinions. And we're talking about space aliens in this case. I do also have love for immigrants as well, to all countries. I don't believe in borders. We're going to wear one earring. It's just what's happening today. Okay, you guys ready? Let's read some of these comments. Aliens are ill-mannered, someone says. Someone says they're going to channel Anubis. Do you guys think Anubis is an alien? My hair's too big for this wig. Today's a mess. It's okay. So I think that some of us have seen aliens eat humans. Aliens are here to take over the planet. One thing that I see over and over in alien stuff is that aliens are have ruined their home planet and are out to find a new planet to potentially ruin. Have you ever seen aliens want our gold? That's another one that's pretty common. Yes, there's a little bit of rose quartz in this crown. It's mostly regular quartz. Aliens are usually depicted as greedy, violent beings who trick us into giving gold or giving our okay. So if you have watched any movies about aliens, you've seen that they are sort of tyrants. And I'm not saying that aliens like that don't exist, but that's actually not the majority of aliens, or it's not even really the majority of aliens who are able to interact with humans. So if you have these preconceptions about what aliens are, it's going to be very limiting in your ability to open up your consciousness and communicate with other beings. So the thing is that our brain waves are on the electromagnetic spectrum, and they can actually go beyond our brain. There's electromagnetic radiation that comes from our heart. There's electromagnetic radiation that comes from our actual bodies in the form of heat. And there's electromagnetic radiation that comes out of our brains as brain waves. So the fact is that our brainwaves can actually go into space, can actually go beyond our consciousness, and thinking that so most people who understand this would say, oh, well, the brainwaves are heavily dampened by your actual skull, and they don't actually extend very far beyond your head. But I believe that there's actually grids of energy that they can travel on, and I also believe that there's a high likelihood of the potential for technology, for higher consciousness beings to have the ability to tap into brainwaves and to read them. There's actually even a lot of patents from the U.S. government trying to do this. So whether or not the U.S. government can actually do this is another question, but the potential for understanding that consciousness can go beyond our own minds and that our thoughts can actually work on a telepathic level is not unreasonable, and it's actually not, it's actually completely rational and completely real. So when we're considering the potential for communicating with alien beings, a lot of times in mass media and our culture, it's limited to the physical reality. We think, oh, well, we have to see a spaceship land in a field and go up to them and then talk to them, or they have to crash land on Earth. They have to actually be physically present on Earth. But and we've been really guided away from our ability to interact with higher level consciousness beings such as angels and such as aliens. And the truth is that our brains and our reality and our consciousness is so much freer than we can even begin to imagine, in the sense that there's so much potential for us to actually create a reality that we could never even imagine. So as we open up our minds to the potentials for communicating with different beings on other methods other than the third dimensional reality, we're actually going to be creating a reality that's much richer and much more fulfilling to us in the whole. There's a lot of benefits to communicating with aliens, and the thing is that when you're talking to any being in the spiritual realm, the thing is that people oftentimes give a ton of credit to these beings. They say, oh, well, a spirit told me to do this, so I'm going to do it. Well, the truth is you don't know what kind of spirit told you to do that, unless you know them, you know very well, or you've set your boundaries, or you've set your protection. Anybody, spiritual or physical, any consciousness that can interact with you and tell you what to do and tell you their advice is merely another entity outside of yourself. The closest, the person who has the most control and the best vantage point for your reality, no matter what, is always you with an open heart. It's never another angel or alien or any kind of person. They can give you advice that you feel and then check is in alignment with your true heart. But your own consciousness is truly the best vantage point than any other being. So if you're taking advice from your friend, from your family, from a telepathic experience with an alien or a spirit or an angel, take it all with a grain of salt in the same exact way that you would communicate with another person who you saw on the street. How well do you know that person? How well do you actually trust them? How much do you think they actually understand your situation or your goals or your heart? So when you're communicating with higher level beings or lower level beings, the best thing to do first is to set your protection. The way that I do it and the way that I started, I used to be so afraid of channeling. I used to be so afraid of invoking. I wouldn't even invoke the cardinal directions. I practiced Wicca for a while, and I was so afraid of invoking demonic entities. I wouldn't even invoke the four elements, or I wouldn't invoke the elements or the directions, the cardinal directions. Then I learned more about protection, and I learned to set my protection by saying, I allow only the highest level beings with the highest good for all and my highest good to interact with me. And so when I did that, then I opened my brain up and I was able to communicate with who I consider to be my space family, which are Arcturians. And we all have different connections to different things, just like we all have different connections here on Earth to different cultures. So, your heritage and where your family comes from, and the type of food and culture that your ancestors have been indoctrinated in, has a big part to play in your manifestation as a human being. Just like your consciousness has probably been through a lot of different lifetimes and a lot of different experiences in connection with a lot of different space cultures. So it's cool to pay homage to that, and it's cool to open your mind up to those different realities. The first thing to do is to open up your mind and trust your whim. Because if you're thinking about, yes, Diva brings up a really good point. Diva says, I have trouble with the word highest because I'm trying to be conscious of not being hierarchical. Do you ever have this issue? I think that's a really good point, and I think that's something that I want to work towards. But right now in this reality, we're still living in a dualistic reality where higher and lower and black and white and dark and light are still very clearly, like, people are still learning how to distinguish between the benefit and benefit and detriment. And I think that as we move towards a place where more people understand the difference between benefit and detriment to their own spirit, we can stop using words like dark or light or high or low. And I will keep that in mind in the future. But right now I think it's hard because people don't have, because we're living in this dualistic framework, we don't have the preconception of giving respect to something lower without having it, giving respect to something that's detrimental. And differentiating between that within our own hearts. But that's a really good point. So however you feel comfortable setting your protection, you could set it to be beneficial. Only beings that are in the most beneficial reality and have the most love possible for all of humanity and for me and for the planet, then when you set that intention, then you're ready to go. You're going to be okay. And again, if you have information coming through that's not beneficial to you, don't listen to it. Just because you can't see something doesn't make it more valuable. It's just the same as if you're talking to anybody. So the next step is to decalcify your pineal gland, if that's the words you want to use, to open up your mind, to open up your third eye, to start to awaken the aspects, the parts of your actual physical body and your physical brain that are going to be able to interact with, send and receive different messages. So to do that, there's a few things you can do. You can eat clean, eat a more plant-based diet, cut out sugars, drink a lot of water, get exercise. The more and more spiritual I become, the more important I realize it is to keep my body clean and strong. And those kinds of things didn't used to matter to me. I actually didn't care for my health at all. And I think that they're just really, it's really important, and it's really connected, and it's going to be ingrained. So as you strengthen and clean your body, your spiritual and mental capacities can open up, and vice versa. That's something that will just naturally happen as you're moving forward in the spiritual path, because you're recognizing and loving the vessel that you're in and your body. So as you clean and heal and strengthen your body, you can do different meditations. I align myself with perfect health every day. I set my intention to align with perfect health, and that helps me a lot. And then really, I think a lot of people feel nervous about it, and they feel like they're going to be crazy. We've had a lot of propaganda against this type of behavior. So if you're going into meditation and you're getting information and you're channeling, I mean, we're so lucky to live in this time where you won't be locked up for that. There's tons of people on YouTube doing that, and you're going to be able to not only have these experiences, but share them with a community of people. Maybe not your friends or family, they might not understand it, but online you will definitely be able to find a community of people who are channeling higher entities. So as we are opening up our minds, practicing our bodies, working on the physical component of our mind, and also creating the belief set framework that this is not only possible, but very real and very beneficial to happen, then we can start to explore all the different kinds of information that exists in the world and all the different information that can potentially serve us. As you learn how to communicate with other level beings, and you learn to communicate with angels and aliens and spirits, you'll also be able to tap into all kinds of psychic information, such as the Akashic records and fairyland and just every potential reality. And whatever you resonate with, whatever you feel compelled or drawn to connect with, then that's going to be easier to do. You can gather some tools in order to help you connect with these beings. One tool that can be very helpful is marijuana, cannabis, and that can help you let go of your fears and open up your mind and go along with your whims. As we go along with our whims and we trust our whims, then that's going to be the best possible thing. Spencer says, trusting in your own power to discern helps me to open up my eye. Really wonderful. So as you trust your whims, you'll be connected to your deeper truths. And whatever you give your attention to is going to bloom and thrive. So if you're saying, oh, this is dumb, this is stupid, I'm embarrassed, I'm crazy, what am I even thinking? How can this really be true? This is not possible. You're going to create that reality. If you're like, wow, I'm connected to the highest potential for my personal growth, and I'm in a family of beings who love me very much, and I'm on earth for a mission, or whatever makes you happiest to believe, that's your whim, then you're going to be uncovering deeper truths. That's just my personal experience. So another tool you can use is crystals. Crystals are highly organized molecular structures that actually magnify and intensify electromagnetic energy. So as you hold a crystal, you're actually able to channel electromagnetic energy, electromagnetic frequencies through that crystal. If you're holding that crystal onto your forehead, onto your third eye, or putting crystals on your head, or holding it to your heart, and don't underestimate your heart in this regard either. I think our culture has oftentimes told us that our brain is everything, but it's not. Our heart is just as important, if not more important, to our truth, and to seeing the truth of the world. And that's where following whim really comes in. You can hold any crystal that you feel resonates. Certain ones, like maybe shungite or obsidian, might have an interesting effect that might not be beneficial for channeling, but you can test it. You might be able to channel, it might actually work as a protection, and then you might actually be able to channel much easier if you're inundated with a lot of negative voices, or a lot of voices that are detrimental to you. So using, I would recommend rose quartz, amethyst, or quartz. I have a little kit in the store if you don't have any crystals, an introductory crystal starter kit you could get if you wanted to try those 3 out and feel their different energies. Those are great crystals to start with. Hold them on your heart, hold them on your forehead, sleep with them under your pillow, feel them and meditate with them and feel their energy and love them and squeeze them. Crystals are piezoelectric, which means that as you squeeze, they're highly attenuated. That's why they are in every single computer and every single phone. So as you squeeze a crystal, it's emitting a low-level electrical charge into your body. It's actually charging you up physically, electrically. So play with crystals. That can really help activate your consciousness and help you send out your thoughts into space. And then also, for me personally, I have a very rigid mind, and I can't believe in something unless I convince myself that it's true first. I can't just have a vision and trust that it's real unless I've heard of it before. And that's just based on how I was raised. I was raised in a very materialistic, material-focused sort of way. So it's very hard for me to just trust my heart. I have to see things on paper first. And so one thing that can really help is just to read other people's experiences. When I read other books that are channeled and I read other people's experiences, that actually helps me create the framework in my mind for the potential reality, for it to exist. Again, belief makes real. So if I'm cutting out all the potential for that belief, and I'm saying, oh, I don't trust this because I believe in science, or I believe, this or that. I'm not saying science isn't real. I think this is a very scientific thing. But if you're limiting your belief and you're cutting out the potential for these things, then you're not going to be as likely to receive them. You have to believe in them. You have to trust that it's possible before it's going to happen to you. So as soon as you are able to trust that it's possible and you're able to open up your mind, and as Ross says, chakra activation, aligning your body, aligning your energy spiritually, working on yourself spiritually, you're going to be able to much easier communicate with different levels, different beings of different levels and different frequencies and different realities. And the thing is that you can gain so much information, not only about yourself, but about the world, about your situations. These beings can help you align yourself to your heart and can help you remember who you really are, and what you're doing here on earth, and what your purpose is, and what your goals can be, so that you can actually have the most fulfilled and rewarding reality possible. Also, don't forget that real aliens physically do exist. They are born as humans, and they're called starseeds. And if you want to talk to them, they can exist. You can talk to them too, just as easily as you can talk to any other person. That's all I have for today. Thank you. Uni bless.